Hi planner folks, welcome back to another plan with me for this month. In this video, I'm going to set up my monthly spread, and I'm also going to set up a weekly and a daily page, as well as my finances and wellness and those kind of pages that are in Cyberry. So I've recently launched the mid-year Cyberry planners. I finally launched a mid-year version. It's been well requested, so I am actually going to move over into the mid-year version. There are a lot of customization options that you can choose in the download library when you purchase the Cyberry mid-year planner. And there's also a shortcuts and non-shortcuts version. So if you want Apple Calendar integration with reminders and the calendar, you can get that with the mid-year planner. So I am moving over into that planner. I did go ahead and start by moving over my finances. If you've seen any of my other previous plan with me's, you know that I pretty much plan the same way every month. I like having my finances, and I use the planning icons for kind of like the little dollar bills. I use the text enter because that's what matches the Cyberry planner. And then I like to use a pastel green highlighter to represent finances. But then I also opened up a few sticker sets that I love using every month, like the major holidays and events sticker pack, which is what I use to add the 4th of July sticker. And I like to use any other holidays, I'll use that set as well. And I also like to use the pastel goal planning and widgets pack, and I like to add my widgets kind of floating on the monthly page as well, which you'll see later in this video. But I'm just going in and starting out with writing my finances. A lot of this stuff is on auto pay, but it's nice knowing when that money is coming out of my account. And those are things that I just move over from month to month. So I actually just copy and pasted some of these payments from the previous month. And I like how it makes all of my months like really easy to see at a glance, because I have this kind of color coding with these pastel highlighters and icons. And it just works really well by planning the same month to month. I also like to use the Essential Icons pack, and I've been using that lately for my YouTube schedule. My YouTube schedule is pretty fluid, so I try to upload once a week, and I really like using the Essential Icons for this because I can color code them. So generally, I like color coding KDigitalStudio stuff in purple, of course. And don't forget that you can use the precision highlighter to kind of make these more precise erases. So that's what I'm doing here to make sure everything's nice and even in this icon. I did do this last month, but I wanted to demonstrate that you can actually color code the essential icons if you want to, be able to differentiate between events like this. I'm also moving stuff over from the previous week just so I can see that information at a glance as well, because typically during the last week of the month, I'll just go ahead and switch over to the next month since I do have that information in Cyberry, so it's just really nice to be able to see those at a glance as well. So I'm just putting in that information and planning out my YouTube schedule. If you have any ideas of tutorials or walkthroughs or anything that you want to learn, do let me know down in the comments below. Of course, I always take in your guys' recommendations for YouTube videos because I want to create things that you want to watch. And so I do have a lot of ideas, but again, I want to focus on what you want to see most and what you're hoping to get out of watching KDigitalStudio on YouTube. So I'm just planning out a few things. And of course, this is always probably gonna change, so I like to go ahead and put those into my calendar as well, just to have some ideas. So when I look ahead at the next week, I can either change that video or I can go ahead and film that video. So those are just things I like to keep in mind when I'm planning my YouTube schedule. And of course, these dates aren't exact either. The only time my YouTube schedule is really exact is if I'm working with a sponsor or anything like that. But otherwise, it's pretty fluid, and I have my own creativity when it comes to what I want to do for my YouTube channel. So I'm just putting in some ideas. Another thing that is new for this month is that I am pregnant, so I'm putting in what weeks I am at the beginning, kind of at the week that I switch. So I like having those in because it reminds me to take a picture and journal that week about things that went on. So those are just me putting in those timing things when it comes to being pregnant. Of course, there are going to be new things that I'll be planning and adding to kind of my widgets or different to-dos from week to week, but for now, this is what I'm adding to my monthly spreads. I'm also just using Scribble here. So Scribble is a system-wide feature that you can toggle on in the settings of your Apple Pencil of the iPad. So I can just write wherever there's a text box. So I can do that with Safari or just across the iPad, and I'm able to do that here in Goodnotes as well. And so that allows me to still write things out, but it'll convert to the font, the default font that I have chosen, which in this case is Enter. So it's just really helpful to, one, still be able to write things out, but two, also kind of maintain that cohesiveness since I am using the same font that Cyberry was created in. I am going back to my previous month and adding in my widgets. I didn't get as many projects done this month, probably for obvious reasons now at this point. So I am moving around those projects that we have for that widget. I'm also going back and grabbing my other widget. So I like to use the purple widget for more work-related projects, ongoing projects. And then I like to use that smaller pink widget for things like personal home projects, and I like to just have them floating on my monthly calendar just so I can see those like bigger projects at a glance. These are things I'm working on every week or throughout the month, these kind of longer projects that I want documented that I can't necessarily like tie to a specific due date. So I like to have those just floating on my calendar, and those are from the Goals and Planning Widgets sticker pack. So if you'll remember, Cyberry has 3 different weekly options. It has the vertical weekly and the horizontal weekly. And then there's a custom weekly option where you can paste in kind of your own weekly templates or templates that you've created for the week. And I was just trying to decide which one I want to go with. Lately, it's really hard to time block things. So I went with the horizontal option for right now. I might create another weekly option for me to try out more of the custom weekly options just to kind of switch it up. But for now, I'm just going to start with the horizontal weekly option, and I just copied and pasted the information that was on my monthly to this weekly. And then I'm going to go in and start setting up the rest of this week of things that I want to track or things that I want to keep aware, kind of like in the back of my mind. One thing I really like doing from week to week is kind of have a priorities list. So 3 tasks that I must get done for that week. And I kind of like to have that same philosophy for daily pages as well. So I'm just going in and I'm going to add tasks. And I also want to try and add a reading widget. So there is a reading kind of sticker with the new Cyberry mid-years. And since I'm trying to get back into reading some more, I want to have a sticker for that as well. So I'm just going to add that kind of just floating on this weekly page as well. And then I'm also going to go in and kind of write out a section for me to write out the tasks for this month. So I don't already have the task planned for this week this far ahead, but I am going to go ahead and start setting that up. Lately, I've been experimenting with different headers, and so this is just one of the header styles that I've been really liking lately. So I just kind of drew that out by hand, and then I like to go over it sometimes with a highlighter to just kind of have a nice outline. And a lot of times I will change the color of the pen and the highlighter to get different combinations, which is really cool. For this one, I just stuck with black and then the purple pastel highlighter that I really like using for this one. But it is really fun to have different color combinations for the pen and the highlighter for headings like these. So I'm going to leave it there for my weekly page. Now I'm going to go in and set up some of these more specialty pages that are available within Cyberry. So one template that I use all the time in Cyberry specifically is the wellness page. I really like this page because it covers more than just workouts and things like that. It covers your sleep quality and a spot for tracking habits, and I just really like being able to do this. I used to try to track my habits weekly, but I found that it wasn't as helpful for me to see what habits I've accomplished in a week. I really like to see kind of those longer streaks. So that's why I like to track my habits kind of by the month on a spread like this one. So I'm just going in with Scribble and that same Enter font, and I'm just going in and writing habits that I want to track a bit more religiously. So I'm doing that on these pages here. And it's fun because you can color code these habits. So I could have read as the color green, or prenatals as the color purple, or things like that. There are a lot of ways that you can fill these circles in when you complete a habit, either using the highlighter or pen tools and things like that. And of course, there are other things that you can track on the wellness page, like sleep quality that I mentioned and things like that. So I'm just going in and using the pastel highlighters to kind of document what colors these represent. And so whenever it's the 1st of July or 23rd of July, I can go in and I already have a color that represents, say, 8 hours or 7 hours, and I can color code those boxes as well. And it's the same kind of thing with the physical fitness here and the hydration tracker. And there's even kind of a mental health or kind of emotion section that I think would be really helpful here as well. And so I'm just going in and color coding those so I have it ready to go whenever I do want to mark in those colors. There's also the medications and supplements section for this page, and thankfully I'm not taking any medications right now. I used to take a ton, but no longer on any medication, so I am putting in the supplements that I take. And I don't take any supplements regularly except my prenatals, so I'm just going to go in and put those in there as well. You'll see here that Scribble can kind of be finicky. I've noticed this mostly finicky in GoodNotes because the text tool in GoodNotes is not the greatest, and I don't know necessarily how they could improve this, just by the merits of how it is, because you can add a text box essentially anywhere on GoodNotes. I think that's just one of the reasons why it's finicky. I really like having that freedom, but you can tell that I typically struggle just a bit every once in a while with Scribble and using the text box in GoodNotes specifically. So there's a ton of other specialty pages in Cyberry. I like to go ahead and set up the wellness page before each of the months, but the rest of the pages, I just find those easier to use as I go throughout the month. I don't necessarily need to prep for notes or review or anything like that. Those are typically done throughout the month or the end of the month. So I am going to go ahead and set up a daily page. I am using the Apple Calendar integration version of this planner, and it allows me to set reminders or events, any reminder or any event on any day at any time, just by clicking the calendar icon from a daily page. This allows you much more control over when you want to be reminded of something and things like that, and I just think it's really helpful to have this just kind of quickly right there. Of course, you can split screen if you find that's easier for you, but I really do like having that kind of shortcut integration there so I can quickly jot anything down. So that's where I'm going to leave it, where I have everything set up for my monthly, my weekly, and my daily. I do plan on filming more in-depth videos on how I actually plan out my week when I do have tasks and goals and things ready to go, as well as my daily page. So if you're interested in seeing a more in-depth video on me planning my week or planning my day, be sure to subscribe so you can see that soon. But I hope you have a fantastic July. I'm very excited that I was able to kind of take you along for this journey in planning another month on my iPad planner in the mid-year version of Cyberry. If you went ahead and already have the mid-year version of Cyberry, I would love to hear your thoughts about it down in the comments below. Do let me know what you have going on this July. I'm very interested to know. But until then, I will see you next month with another plan with me, and I'll see you next week with another video. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!